Audio is one of the most important aspects when it comes to filmmaking.
1, 4, 3, 2.
And is this device the last audio device you ever need? And I am wondering in this video if this device is worth your money. So what's the point of having the Saramonic K9 system when you actually have the Saramonic Ultra, which is so much smaller than this large clunky thing? This is actually just the receiver. It's not even the transmitter. Well, there's a key difference. This is UHF. The Saramonic K9 uses UHF, which is so much stronger and much more reliable, and a lot of professionals use this as opposed to the 2.4 gigahertz systems. So we're going to be talking about the Saramonic K9, what you get in the box, and what are the benefits of going at your UHF system. So let's get it. And the audio from this video is going to be recorded directly on the Saramonic K9. So the Saramonic K9 comes with a lot of accessories. You get the device in a nice weather-sealed hard case. You get the 2 transmitters and the receiver. You'll get the antennas for all the devices. You get 2 really high-quality lav mics which have locking 3.5 connections. And they also come with the standard foam sock or dead cats. You've got 2 XLR adapters. You've got a 3.5 to 3.5 millimeter cord, a USB-C to USB-C, 3 belt clips, a mount that attaches to the receiver and you can connect it to the hot shoe, but also has a quarter 20 mount, a USB-C to USB-A adapter, and some color-coded clips that you can identify your devices. There are also 3 pairs of fresh AA batteries ready to use. Now, depending on where you get the kit, it comes in at a price of $999 US at the time of this recording. So when it comes to the UHF system, that's one thing that I actually use with my professional corporate work, but the current one that I actually have doesn't have 32-bit float internal. Now, 32-bit float internal recording definitely is one of the biggest things when it comes to modern day filmmaking because it is so much more reliable and you don't actually have any troubles when it comes to clipping your audio, which is just going to save you if it's just that one take and you can never repeat it again. So now listen to my Mustang with the audio at 24-bit, and you can hear the audio peaking when I gear down. And now, this is me accelerating with 24-bit. And hear the difference with 32-bit float audio and bringing it down in post. So you'll notice here I've brought the levels down to exactly -8 decibels in both of the clips, but 32-bit float audio keeps the information. You can even hear that the audio kind of sounds a bit quieter and less distorted, and it fluctuates, which means it doesn't lose the information, which is brought back in post-production. Now you're obviously going to realize there's a key difference between these two when it comes to the 2.4 gigahertz and the UHF model. Now, obviously it's the size. The K9 is significantly larger than the Ultra, but one of the key differences here is that the K9 has removable batteries. Now, when it comes to professional systems, removable batteries is a definite must because if they do go flat, you can buy a whole bunch of new ones, put them straight in and start recording straight away, whereas these ones need to be recharged and they're not removable batteries. So potentially they won't last as long, whereas the K9, like I said, it's removable batteries, so this could last you a lifetime. Now, if you do have rechargeable AA batteries, you can leave them in the device and charge it through the USB-C connection, which is obviously fantastic. But if you run into a situation where your batteries go completely dead, you don't have any spares, you can actually power the device through the USB-C connection, which is definitely going to save you in a pinch. Now, when it comes to the controls and features on the Ultra, it definitely is a lot easier to press the buttons accidentally, and all the systems are just like this. Whereas the K9, they're all tucked away in this door, so you actually have to open the door to physically turn off the actual recording or go directly into the settings. Now, both of these you can actually pair them through with the app and control all the settings in the app as well. So once you pair the receiver and transmitter, or both transmitters, you can sync the devices to your cameras with timecode or jam sync the timecode directly into the device through the USB-C connection. Here you can choose the battery type to help display the correct battery power remaining. You can choose the RF power, which essentially is just the strength of the signal. The higher the power means the stronger and more reliable signal, but choose more battery. You can choose a record mode to auto record, manual, or sync record. You can choose what voltage your mic needs through the 3.5mm jack, the low cut filter, headphone volume, the mic volume, changing the frequency, and also changing the device name. But most of these settings you will actually find in the device itself. So the key difference between the 2.4 gigahertz and the UHF frequencies essentially is the frequency itself. This is going to be much more robust and reliable when there are a whole bunch of electronic components and other frequencies around. You're not going to get as much interference, if any at all, compared to the 2.4 gigahertz. Now, one of the biggest pros when it comes to the UHF system, you can do auto scan in this. So it will actually scan for the best frequency and the most uninterrupted one possible. But you can also select a specific frequency as well, or you can manually put one in, whichever one suits your workflow. And it's just going to be so much stronger, more reliable, thus potentially better for professional work. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about 2.4 gigahertz or UHF transmission, Gerald Undone does a fantastic video on the Saramonic K9 and the ability to have a stronger and more reliable signal. Absolutely recommend this video, and I will link it in the description below so you guys can check that out, which is far more technical than I can do on this video. Now, one of the key features is that it actually has dual external outputs. So it does have two 3.5mm jacks on the actual receiver itself, which can go directly into your camera. So you can actually have two different tracks or blend them together, whichever one. So for instance, if you do have the FX2, FX30, FX3, FX6, you can plug it directly into this XLR or both XLRs and monitor the system simultaneously, which is obviously fantastic. And speaking of monitoring, the receiver actually has two screens. So it has this very small screen right here. So if you actually are monitoring it behind the camera, you can actually see it, because a lot of people may actually be using this where they can't see above on top of the main screen. So just having that second screen is really useful to monitor your levels, have a look at your battery, or see what the UHF transmission is like. Now, what you'll generally find with a lot of professional recorders is it will have its own media slot. So you can actually have a micro SD card, which is found just under the battery section, comes with a 64GB memory card. Now, we do have to talk about the lav mics that are included. These are extremely quality. And one of the key differences between these lav mics and other lav mics is this is IP67 weatherproof, which is fantastic if you are in rainy or dusty situations, but they are also locking 3.5mm jacks, which is just so much better than your standard lav mics that can potentially be unplugged. Now, one of the great things that I love about these lav mics is that they're super thin and tiny, which is fantastic for concealment. So if you do actually the triangle gaffer tape trick, this hides them extremely well. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, very simple. Rip off a little bit of gaffer tape, fold them into mini triangles. You have two of them, literally put the lav mic in between the two triangles, and you've got this awesome lav mic that you can seal it underneath clothing. And this is what's going to help limit that rustling noise. Now, you can actually purchase tapes like this specifically designed for this, but if you are in a pinch, use gaffer tape, works perfectly fine. Now, one of the big things about the K9 when it comes to recording internally, but also sending the signal over to the camera, is that the US actually has a patent on that. So the model sold over there can't actually record internal and simultaneously send that signal over to the camera. Now, I'm not 100% sure what kind of patent that is and which company actually owns that, but there are obviously all those other companies that would have the same thing. So look, overall, if you are a professional and do a whole bunch of events, weddings, corporate videos, the K9 system is probably going to be more reliable and robust, especially for the future. But if you do want light and compact, absolutely go for the Ultra. I still love using the small compact microphones because obviously they're just smaller, lighter and compact, and you can just chuck them in your filmmaking bag and away you go. Whereas these ones do have a larger case, but they are built to last and they definitely suit professional workflows. So anyway, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I'll obviously put a link in the description below for the Saramonic K9, but also the Saramonic Ultra as well, which I've done a review on. You can check that one out. I'll put a link in the description for that video. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's get it.